KDF Recruitment is Mwenda Mbijiwe, of course, a security analyst, former KDF from the Air Force. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You were reacting quite a bit when that story was going on. I want to get your reaction. One person did not have a tooth, knocked him out. Another one got a grade that would not qualify him to be in the Air Force. And he said he was asking, and you could see that on camera, what does my grade have to do with bravery in war? What does it have to do with how I'll perform on the battlefield as well? Let me get your thoughts on that as someone who has gone through that same process.
First of all, as I said yesterday, I thank KDF for having given Kenyan youth the chance to serve their country, and there is no greater pride to any young man than to know that they gave their life, they put their life on the line for their country. It's indeed a great honor to know that you are actually the guy who can die on behalf of your citizens. It's a great honor, And the young men that are sticking their necks out for this, I congratulate them. It takes great courage and bravery to go out there and say, I want to give my life for someone else. However, KDF is very strict on the entry requirements. The bare minimum is physically fit. You must be physically fit. You must have all your teeth. You must have your eyes, correct,
What does your teeth have to do with being physically fit? Some of the biggest
I was asked the same question yesterday by your colleague, and I said, the body of a soldier, the first weapon you have as a soldier is your body. Your AK-47, your M4, any other weapon could fail you. The fighter tank can fail you. The original weapon that you have as a soldier is your body. Your hands, your fingers, your toes, everything.
Your teeth.
Your teeth. Your teeth are actually very lethal weapons, and you are encouraged to use them in very extreme circumstances. Don't just be quick to use that weapon because it can hurt deeply, but you use it in that very moment when you have nothing else remaining with you. I pity the young man from Limuru. Actually, except you said in the story that his problem was the teeth, I was going to appeal here publicly to the CDF to consider that young man. When I see someone cry like that, I want to do something for him. But now he doesn't have the teeth, and there's nothing if the chief of defense.
We've seen cases where the color of the teeth is the problem. Again, what does the color of the teeth have to do with? The
color of the teeth sometimes has been, that's not been a big issue, because there are people who have, teeth color problems because of the water and the areas they come from. I've seen this problem particularly with a lot of people from Maasai lands. Those Ma areas, I think because of the pastoral nature and maybe the water that they are exposed to, they have had teeth problems. I don't think the teeth color problem is such a big problem. But again, look, you're recruiting, they said this time they are taking 2,000 young men. I can assure you over 200,000-300,000 young men will show up, and you have to take only 2,000 from 300,000. So they use anything to eliminate people and reduce the number of competitors. It can be the teeth color, and the grades. I know a friend of mine who's been telling me that her son has refused to agree to the fact that he cannot go to participate in this event because his grade is not up to D. And I said, because he won't accept, let him go experience it. Because when KDF says it's D, they mean it. And by the way,
there's no way around it.
The first thing, and I asked the young men who are going to those recruitment centers, please carry your original school certificates, because the first thing they'll use, other than your health comes second. The first thing is, are you qualified? Are you a Kenyan citizen? You have to show your ID. Then second, do you have school grades? They will look at your school grades, and if your grade is below D, please don't waste your time. This is called Kenya Defense Forces. They don't have corruption. And I can assure you, they will not let you in at the gate.
You said they don't have corruption, but we have seen cases in the past. So can we say they don't have corruption now?
Let me say this.
Is that what you're saying?
Let me say this. I will not go that direction. Let me answer it this way. What I meant with they don't have corruption. At the gate, you cannot buy your way in if your grade is not a D. That's what I meant. When you show your papers, you can't give 10,000, 20,000 and be let in. The first way to be accepted at the recruitment center will be, are you a Kenyan citizen? You show your ID. Secondly, are you qualified in terms of academics? You show your grades. When you do that, now you enter into the commonwealth of the field, where you will be sorted. They will say, if you came here and you want to join Kenya Army, please join this line. If you came here and you want to join Kenya Air Force, please join this line. If you want to join the Kenya Navy, please join this line. Then the standards in our time, at our time, during the time I was recruited, they said if you wanted Kenya Air Force, you must have this grade. At our time, it was C+. So they said if you have a C+ and above, you can qualify for Kenya Air Force. And if you're in this crowd and you want Kenya Air Force, please join this line. So you carry your certificates, we'll show you a C+ and you can join Kenya Air Force. They said Kenya Navy, you must have a C and a C- to join Kenya Navy. Join this line. Anything below C- or C that is not D-, C and D, please, if you want to join Kenya Army, then join this other line.
What has changed since your days of recruitment? What changes have you seen, if any, in the way recruitment is done?
Actually, nothing much has changed. Maybe what I've significantly seen, because I mean, it's quite a while. I left the military in 2001, so it's been a while. The major change I've seen for me is not even the recruitment, but the training. Because during our time, women were
about what, a 9-month, I think there's a 9-month training after?
6 months.
6 months,
6 months,
okay.
Yeah. And the cadets go up to 18 months.
Okay.
The cadets. So during our time, the women were never trained together with the men. We only met 1 month to passing out parade. So we trained in 2 different camps. The women trained strictly in Nairobi, and the men went out there in the world. But now they have merged the training. The women go through what the men go through, and I think it's in KDF they actually believe what a man can do, a woman can do better. The women go through the strain that the men go through, the hardship, the bombs, the explosions, the firings, the running, the marching, everything that a man does, a woman does in KDF today.
We've seen that KDF is being deliberate this time around in getting more women involved in KDF recruitment. But what more can they do? Yesterday, I think few women showed up, and those who showed up were disqualified, at least in some centers. What more can KDF do to encourage women to come out, even though you're saying now the training standards are the same and everything, but what can KDF do? What
Maybe
else?
There should be a deliberate effort by the KDF. I would expect at a time like this, and I challenge you and the station, please try call them and ask them if they could come to the show.
We called them, they were not available today, but they're coming soon.
Yeah, bring them on. The general should come with his uniform, or the brigadier, and hype it up and tell Kenyans that's a place to be. Let me tell you what I tell young people. There is no greater honor than to serve your country in the military. And those of us that have traveled to other countries, 2016, I was, through the Kenyan Defense Forces friends that I had in the past, I was able to, join a high-profile delegation to Colombian military, where the military in Colombia is almost 10 times bigger than our military. But the joy and the honor the young men have there, even in the middle of war that they've had for almost 30 years with their own, rebel group. I should tell young men in Kenya, please, if you feel in your heart you want to serve your country, don't let the fear of I will not be selected, I will not be... When the day I was selected, I come from a family where almost everybody has been through disciplined forces. My father, my uncles, my cousins, and I can tell you, none of us helps the other one to get recruited. We all show up, and I got selected. Even my father did not know I'd been recruited into the military, even though he was there. I got to the field by myself. I gave out my certificates, my ID. I ran as the others were running, and I got selected. And at the end of it all, you see, it's such an honor. Today, I live a larger than myself life. I'm respected around the world because people know. People out there in the world respect people that give their lives for somebody else. And I can tell you, there is no honor to carry in your life than to know you were once a servant of your country in the military.
Very, very patriotic there, definitely. Moving forward, what sort of changes should KDF look like in terms of what future trends, what they'll do to prepare their soldiers? Will a time come when, candidates show up for recruitment and find computers and you're tested? Can you type? As we get more and more digital, we get more and more technology comes in, etc. Do we see changes like that coming up, even as you've talked about other countries and what they are doing to prepare their soldiers for war? Yeah,
sure. Maybe before I answer that, I should remind those that will be going to the fields that they should try to dress a little lighter.
What is lighter?
There are people who show up at the recruitment center, and I can see it on TV, those guys seated out there, some come in suits.
Like the one you and I are wearing right now.
You cannot go to recruitment center in a suit. Please, if you have a track suit or even a short, show up in it. Dress as lightly as possible, because I can assure you, even if you're going to be selected for cadets or you're going to be selected for the Army or Air Force or Navy, they will put you through a running exercise. You will run for a couple of minutes, even an hour or more. And please, you cannot do this in a suit like this. So young men, if you already showed up yesterday and today in a suit, we can't help you. But those that are going tomorrow and the days to come until the end of the recruitment exercise, please dress lightly, put on tracksuits or,
some appropriate wear.
They will almost undress you to check your body, my friend. So dress lightly, put on clothes that
make it easier for them.
They check critical areas of your body. They will test if you have everything, all the gadgets of your body.
I think we get what you mean.
So please dress as slightly as possible, and then be ready. The first experience you have of what it is to be a soldier is during a recruitment, because that day they will show you that here we have no secrets.
There's no privacy.
Even with our first whip on the body, they will check your body. You have to show you have no wounds, you have no scars on your body, and they'll check everywhere, 360 degrees around your body. They will check you. And then now, in the future, I think KDF really is modernized over time, but recruitment has continued to be traditionally the same. Because again, they don't...
And is that a good thing?
Yes, I think so. Because they don't want to tell a guy from Turkana or from Pokot that you cannot join KDF because there were no computers in your school when you were growing up. What KDF does is they do not care what you know.
Okay.
If you qualify, they make you know what they want you to know. So they take you in, train you, and by the time you're done a year or two into your service, you know to use all the computers, you know to use every technology that pilots, some of those young men flying these fighter jets could not even ride a bicycle in their village. But they got them, put them through training, and KDF is very thorough in the investment they do. Yesterday, my wife and I were watching this story from Israel, where some fighter jets, flew into Syria, bombed some targets, and were flying back, and then some defense battery, shot down the fighter jet. And I was trying to explain to my wife that to the military, a fighter jet and the pilot, we would rather lose the fighter jet than lose the pilot, because it takes more effort to train a pilot. It's actually expensive. And my wife was saying, what kind of fighter jet is that? I said, it's F-16, almost the most modern fighter jets, very expensive, very agile, and very useful in war. Mm-hmm. But then the pilot had to eject, leave it, and stay alive, the pilot. So in KDF or Defense Force or military forces, the soldier himself, the guy doing the job, is the most important person. So KDF should continue being as traditional as possible, recruit the young men as long as they have gone through school, as long as they qualify, they're physically fit, take them in. Do not let education, technology or not being able to use computers be the yardstick of not recruiting them. And once they come in, KDF has schools everywhere. Mm-hmm. They have their armed forces, technical colleges in Embakasi and also driving. If you see drivers being trained in KDF, in fact, they tell you, if you were a driver before, mm-hmm. dump your driving license. We don't need that one.
We are starting afresh.
Train you how to drive.
Is the final selection done by a checklist where you add them up and you pick the ones who have 100 or 90? How finally, when you have a team that has passed through everything,
yes.
How is the final shortlisting done?
Thank you. Let me give you how I got selected.
Okay.
We came in. First of all, it started with like 300,000 of us. They said, show your ID and certificate. So quite a handful were already removed there because some did not have the grades. So if you do not have D and above, you are asked to leave. So that goes to the second phase. They say, you want to join the Air Force, you need to have C+. So I carry my certificate and my ID and join the Air Force line. So right there, whoever doesn't have C+, is left out. So we go to the Air Force line. The line is the people are becoming fewer. And then ultimately, when we are all now ready to join the Air Force and we are so many, they say, okay, we need 20 of us. In our time, they needed 18. So they said, you're going to run and we will pick number 1 to 18. So guys, that's how to be fair. You're like, okay, go. So so
if you're having a bad day and you emerge number 19 or 20.
Let me shock you. I was number 3, but I was picked at number 17. Because the guy who was watching the people running did not notice that some of us actually ran around others in the field. Because I think we did like 12 laps. So by the time you do 12, the guy who was number 1 had gone round me once, and I was number 3. But then when he finished, they just marked number 1 only. When he finished, everyone else who came behind him, they picked, and I was right at the edge. I was number 17, and the guy behind me was the last guy. But you can't argue with them. You try to explain to them, they send you home. They tell you, this attitude you have is not needed in KDF. we don't need human rights here. Please go to the village. So they take the 18, and now they take through the 18 through medical. Immediately after you run, that's the right time to test your urine, so that they can see your inner body, health. So you're sent to some place to bring your urine samples.
And 2 years ago, Sylvia Chebet did a story that maybe we'll play at another time, of a gentleman who was not able to produce urine and was subsequently knocked out.
Yeah, if you can't produce urine, I mean, urine is an excretion of your inner body, stuff, and to be able to show your health status, there are certain elements, and I'm sure medical doctors could explain that better than me. And urine that has just been produced after such a run, it has been able to, remember you've sweated, so you've lost a lot of water out here, and so the urine that comes out is almost green or yellow in color. It's carrying the whole truth about yourself out there. So they test it, and after that they take you through a medical examination. The one thing they don't do and get results that day is they take your blood samples, but you don't get your results that day because those have to be analyzed more medically and in a better laboratory. But the idea is to test if you have HIV or any other, serious disease. So HIV in the military, it's not a way of segregating others.
I was about to ask, I hope they will not be discriminated against should the test return positive.
Let me explain. They will. If you catch HIV while in service, they do not discriminate against you. I mean, it's a disease like any other, and unfortunately, and you serve your whole military service. Of course, your duties may have to be lighter thereafter. If you are a pilot, fighter jets, those things you have to be physically fit. They may give you lighter duties, but you cannot join KDF if you have HIV. Let me explain. The reason is the training is very rigorous. It's extremely rigorous. You'll be awake for almost 2-3 hours a night. There is a time we would go to bed at 11, and by 2-3 a.m. we are awake, because by 4 you have to be lined up ready at the armory to pick your weapons to go and train. So it's extremely rigorous.
And I consume several other diseases that could affect your ability, to perform.
Exactly. And I would urge anyone, please, if you know your HIV status is positive, please, that may not be your kind of job now, because
I'm surprised no one has moved to court to challenge that. But
maybe Okia Mtata is listening. He could go to court sometime
to challenge that.
But I don't think. I'm sure the military would still argue in a court of law that, Your Honor, if you give us this guy, by the time we are done with him, he may be dead. And that's why the chief of defense, the army commander said yesterday, when you come for the recruitment, you know your health. Don't strain yourself too much. That could trigger other medical complications. Okay. Because we've known people who went to do that run and collapsed
yes.
because their heart condition. And the doctor in the field does not have specialized equipment to check your heart. So if you know you have asthma and your heart has a problem, please, that may be not your kind of job. Believe God for another job, but leave that one alone. Because the training thereafter is vigorous.
You've gone through it, and you can attest that it will take everything from you.
Let me tell you, I almost gave up. Many times I almost gave up. The training is strenuous. Oh my God, it's extremely strenuous. But there's a man in our village who is a KDF officer until now. Actually, I left, he's still in KDF. He works at Department of Defense. His name was Musa. Musa is this cool guy in the village. Everybody wanted to be like him. Young men grew up wanting to be like Musa. And every time this training would tear the hell out of me, I'll be like, I want to quit. I would remember Musa, and I hung on. I hung on all the way to the end. So it's not a simple thing.
I hope he's watching. You've definitely paid tribute to him. Mwenda Mbijiwe, a security analyst and former KDF from the Air Force. Fascinating conversation. I feel like we were sharing stories, not really an interview. Thank you for coming to share those insights, and I hope that some young man or lady out there has listened and now understands the process better. And should they choose to go for the recruitment, they now know what to expect, how to dress, and how they will be vetted or looked at even throughout this process that's going on
and a quick one,
until early next month. Briefly, please, go ahead.
After the Air Force officer, those that will be joining Air Force and Navy, they will go for an examination. It's called an aptitude test. The Army guys don't do that one. But I remember Daudi Tonje in our time said even the Army will be doing so. I don't know if they do aptitude, but they go to a classroom after the recruitment. That's why it takes up to 5 p.m. In my time, we finished
all
at
this
10 p.m.
happening on the same day?
Yes, you're selected, you run, you do medical, then after that you go to a classroom and you're given exams, mathematics, science, everything. That's why they're careful with the grades. And then you're graded. And then they say, Bijiwe is number 1, this is number 2, this is number... You live there knowing, and then you carry your letters for reporting.
My goodness. All in one day.
All in one day.
All in one day. I think that's a good place to leave this discussion. Thank you so much, Madam Bijiwe, for joining us. We take a quick break. We've got so many more updates when we reach